All right, sadly this week we saw politicians acting like preschoolers again. A meeting that was supposed to be about Syria turned into another instance of name-calling and finger-pointing, and what's worse, this behavior is being mirrored by regular people all across the country. Liberals and conservatives can't talk to each other anymore. It's tearing up friendships and families. I recently found, though, a group that's trying to heal this division. It's called Better Angels, and since 2016, they've been hosting workshops all over the country, bringing folks together to find common ground. I went to one of their red-blue workshops last weekend in Evanston, Illinois. Take a look.
So the goals are more understanding, seeing if there's something in common.
Here's something special. Conservatives and liberals sitting side by side, talking, smiling, actually listening to each other.
Hamilton Chang here as a red. I'm coming here out of frustration in some ways because I feel like, we've been excommunicated from a lot of our friends in the last couple of years, and it makes me sad.
They're here for a workshop put on by the Better Angels group. Their goal is to help bridge the divide among liberals and conservatives, and some community members have come to watch.
I'm Drew Morrison. I came here as a blue today. We need to be able to have real constructive dialogue among each other, even among issues that we may disagree on.
Now, they split up into reds and blues. Reds for conservative, blues for liberal, and they discuss the stereotypes they think the other side believes about them.
Judgmental. Anti-religious.
And are there any grains of truth to these perceptions?
Hyper PC. Okay, so what is true here?
We attack people for saying the words rather than attacking the words themselves.
Is there a kernel of truth in the stereotype that the Reds are closed-minded, intolerant?
There are principles that I stand by. It may look intolerant in some ways, but abiding by the rule of law with respect to immigration, abiding by the rule of law for things like that, it looks intolerant.
Both say they're surprised by what they hear from the other side.
A lot of Reds recognize that they're the descendants of immigrants and they're pro-immigration. A lot of ink and TV airtime has been spilled on some of the sensational and very dramatic things that have been occurring at the border, and that really obscures, I think, the more nuanced conversation of a nation having control of its borders and welcoming immigrants, but doing it through appropriate channels and means.
What really struck me was when Larry said, we believe in science and we want to use science to solve issues such as climate rather than rushing to a sweeping government program, which is like we recognize for ourselves, oh yeah, we do kind of do that. And you said, yeah, you do that.
I was struck about how the other side has principles that they live by. And we have principles too. And it seems like we both get into trouble when we have absolutes.
The liberals are then asked to sit in the middle of the group and talk about why they think progressive ideas are the best to resolve America's problems. As they answer, the conservatives are allowed only to listen. No rebuttals, no interruptions.
I think that inequality causes some people to feel like burn it all down. I don't want to burn it all down, so I think, frankly, in the interest of preserving capitalism, we need to engage in as you say, leveling the playing field, redistribution, giving people a stake in the system.
Blue values in terms of being accepting and open to very diverse points of view, more open-minded about moral values, right? Like, so same-sex marriage, sexual orientation, gender fluidity, these things I think are good for the United States because they're acknowledging and giving a voice and including groups that have been historically marginalized, have had no voice.
What are your reservations or concerns about your own side, about the blue side?
Some of my experiences have been that in a lot of cases, if you don't adhere to every single value or every single position, then you're marginalized, or you're seen as sort of betraying the cause in a way. Yeah.
I agree that words matter and that words can hurt. But I see arguments being shut down. I see people not being allowed to speak.
Next, it's the conservatives' turn.
I think what's great about the red vision is it emphasizes personal freedoms. And I think that in order for people to soar to great heights, a maximization in personal freedoms is partially responsible.
The ability to progress and allow a society to reach, and people within the society, individuals, to achieve the most that they can achieve with the least amount of interference from outside, assuming it's a positive thing.
What are your reservations or concerns about your own side?
I think with personal responsibility, personal freedoms, there will be people who are lost. I think it's a harsh truth. We lose our messaging and we lose our principle of caring and compassion by saying, hey, free market, right, sink or swim. We have to acknowledge that people sink and make sure that we take care of those people.
At the end of the day, everybody said this experience is going to impact their personal interactions with people on a day-to-day basis.
It's just great to hear reasonable conservative voices in the room, and then when I'm in my friend group that's very sordid and people make some extreme comments about all those people, I can say, well, not all those people. Come on, let's just, pull back.
Same, right? Being that ambassador, we'd started out with why are we here? And I had said something that basically to the extent of being excommunicated from some of my friends for many, many years, friends that I love. So I have some phone calls to make, and I have some listening versus talking.
My takeaway is that neither side is a monolith, that there's a recognition that these are thorny problems that we're trying to address, and that there are going to be some very nuanced solutions to those problems.
So you were an observer the whole time. You were taking copious notes. What do you think would happen if stuff like this was going on all across the country? So whether it's a weekend where 100,000 of these things went down, what do you think would happen in America?
I think people would be better equipped to have these sorts of conversations and think in terms of working together towards solutions to problems rather than seeing the other side as just a barrier to progress.
We got to know each other a little bit better as people.
What is causing you to want to be this deeply involved in this bipartisan work?
It's about relationships. I'm a physician, I'm a parent, I'm a spouse, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend. All of our relationships are built on communication, and we do it very poorly, and we're getting worse and worse at it.
We can disagree on religion, right? Heaven and hell. And yet, for some reason, we're at a point in time in history in this country where you can't disagree about policy.
Do you feel like you learned anything today that might help you bridge that gap?
Absolutely. To be able to hear, try to be as non-judgmental as possible, right? But just to try and pay attention and try to listen as opposed to trying to prove or defend. It was just a good exercise.
One woman said the experience made her more comfortable sharing her voice as a conservative who lives in a liberal town.
I was apprehensive about coming because sometimes today I don't feel like maybe being a conservative or having a conservative voice is PC. And so I think maybe there are a lot of people out there that maybe have this point of view, but they're not really saying it. I really believe if groups like this could get together, take the next step, talk about issues, and sit down and hash it out, I really think we could come up with some solutions, and we may even do a better job than some of our politicians.
You couldn't do worse.
There you go.
Real signs of hope.